Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us here for the WGL EU pre-playoffs, day number 2, of course, for Season 1 of 2015 and 2016. Time for our last game of the day, and the most important one as well. Penta Sports versus Kazna Crew. Winner makes the season finals.
Winner takes all, basically. I mean, this one is really where it comes down to. This is crunch time for both Penta Sports and Kazna Crew. Of course, Penta just obliterating Synergy 5-0 at this point in time, and that's a unbelievable scoreline. I thought that one would be a lot closer considering yesterday's performances, but yeah, I mean, Kazna and Penta's obviously coming off high. They played pretty good tanks against Synergy there. Kazna Crew came this close to being Virtus Pro yesterday, and of course Virtus Pro annihilated Penta. So theoretically this should go Kazna's way, but you know, Penta's a completely different team today, it seems. Absolutely.
I mean, let's have a little bit of talk about the maps we're going to see already. Ruinberg is going to be the first one for this match, and it's one in which we've seen Kazna Crew generally go 2-2 on. However, yesterday they turned that around with a very strong performance.
Yeah, but when they played against Virtus Pro and Ruinberg, it was 2 apiece, I believe.
There was. No, it was, yeah,
one attack,
apiece.
1 defense. So, I mean, this is the thing, right? Penta did okay against Virtus Pro yesterday. They got 1 win. There was a couple of close rounds there, so like they could be okay on this map. Kazna Crew had some shaky stuff on Ruinberg. I thought they, you know, let a couple of rounds slip. They could have actually won there and then against Virtus Pro. But yeah, I think Penta has a real good chance on Ruinberg to at least bring it all even. On Mines, that's a completely different story. I just don't think anyone really has the ability to beat Kazna Crew on that map alongside Lakeville. But then again, looking at the form Penta is right now on Mines, you know, they just played Synergy. They could also be, you know, unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, we did see some good stuff from Penta on Mines, but to be fair, we didn't see a whole lot from Synergy on that map. It was very subdued from them, very stock standard sort of tactics from them. Just took that one map really, and Penta took it away here. So from Kazna Crew, we've seen a lot more of them getting deeper and deeper into the tactical sort of specifics of Mines. All Penta had to do was roll out correctly and sort of make some good decisions. They did, I'll be fair. It wasn't like they didn't do well. They did, but we've seen more from Kazna on their map so far. So we'll have to wait and see what Penta can bring us as well. And mainly, of course, with us. I'm having a great day today. With us as always for this one here as well. Now, you must be torn about this one. I'm sure the fans at home are too.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, German team versus Kazna Crew. I love both. I think we should extend the rule of having 5 teams on the offline finals.
Yeah, you know what? Supreme, you get a bye in the first round.
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant.
We don't have to play this match because both are no, sadly not, because it's not in my power and I don't want to lose my job. So we have to play this one. So head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and get in your votes. A lot of you already voted, and it's currently 72% for Kazna Crew. It was over 70% for Penta before, but now the Kazna Crew fans, yeah, absolutely supporting Kazna Crew.
I'm not surprised.
What a surprise.
Not surprised.
Yes.
No way. They are the fanatical, these guys as well. And it's hard not to. They've been around for so long, have a strong following as well.
Yes.
And I think if Kazna Crew gave me a shirt, they'd spell the name on it backwards correctly, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big point there. But to be fair, that was Daki, and now he's in some team in North America.
We did have to say this one. Oliver was lucky enough to receive a jersey from Penta Sports, but he was very excited. He was waving it around, and then we saw in the back it was spelt incorrectly.
Had the H in between the T and the G.
Oh, me and Lauren almost cried ourselves to death. It was incredible stuff. But yes, they did correct that mistake though. He now has a Penta Sports jersey with the correct spelling on there. So congrats.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good correction as well. It's got my name on there. I do love that one. But yeah, I mean, like this game right now. Just looking at how disappointed the Kazna fans yesterday were when they saw you know, their team get kind of annihilated on Himmelsdorf. I'm not surprised they're turning up in force. A Kazna Crew, you know, not going to an offline finals would be a story within its own, right? Considering they were at the Season 5 finals and they won that one, 4th at the Grand Finals. And yeah, okay, like Penta came this close to making that wild card, that European slot. Roster slot at the Grand Finals, just getting beaten to the post by Kazna Crew in that last one. So, I mean, this is going to be an unbelievable match. Again, I'm not sure exactly how Ruinberg's going to turn out. I think, again, it's about who turns up on the day. Penta look like they're on form. All their kind of players are working together. Fluky's on form. New Multishore's playing well. The Dead Zone's on a completely different stratosphere in terms of skill right now. And yeah, I think hopefully Kazna hasn't taken it to heart and gives us a good match.
The last time these two teams went head-to-head was back in week 4 of this season, and Kazna Crew went 5-1 with very convincing games on both Lakeville and Ruinberg. We're not seeing Lakeville today, but the Ruinberg went 2-0 in Kazna's favour. Mines, we know, is a map that Kazna is sort of confident with. Do you feel like the numbers favour Kazna?
Yeah, definitely. And that was back in the day when Kazna picked Ruinberg on the defensive side, so they could get the kind of default wins after whatever map came first. So those days have changed. I think, you know, 2-0 on the defensive side is to be expected, even though yesterday we didn't see any of it. We saw like a 1-1 on Ruinberg, especially, you know, in that game against Penta and Virtus Pro, and the game on Kazna Crew as well. So, I mean, against Virtus Pro. So, I mean, it could totally go any way. But I think generally a betting man would go for Kazna Crew. They've got so much heritage. They've had this same roster for quite a while. They've broken the roster in the grand finals, obviously the highest pressure tournament there is. And we're just, you know, I'm just itching to get into this one.
It's going to be an epic game as well. We've got some big players as well. And still, honestly, especially if you talk about the top players this season, one of the top players in efficiency is still Ilian. As far as their numbers go, he is the #1 player.
That's not just for that's not for this season. That's just the entirety of the Wargaming League since the inception of the portal. So he's definitely been the top damage dealer for his team. But yesterday, actually, Vetzo with 11,500 damage there in the T54 Lawe, only just about being beaten by Breakneck with 12,800, 900 damage. So he had a phenomenal game, especially on Ruinberg. So yeah, I think, you know, Vetzo just needs to keep on going. I think some underperformances from the likes of Ruster and Ilian definitely need to be rectified, and you know, I hope everyone goes into this match on a kind of even playing field. The damage is very close, and the same goes for Penta, 100%.
We're looking for Ruster as well to start to you know, grow back into the player that he was before. He took a bit of a break. It does happen after you take some time off the game. You got to work your way back in. And of course, Ruster was one of the star players for Kazna Crew. It was a big factor for them, of course, at the World Finals, the Global Grand Finals, which was a fantastic weekend of games. So Kazna Crew have definitely been around the block as well. And yeah, throughout his time in the WGL, it was a bit of a player spotlight here on Ilian. He's played 253 battles in the WGL since the beginning. He himself a win rate of about 55%. It's not too bad, but you know, he does have the top damage as well over his time in the season. So, you know, closely followed, as you said, by Breakneck. Wow is up there as well, but yeah, the stats definitely favour him as an absolute star player. It's all in how he's going to be used as well. You know, we've seen teams, especially players like New Multishow, who was for the first 3 seasons one of the very best players in the world, and then we saw him, you know, used in different ways. And then when he came into Penta as well, you know, struggling to sort of find his feet, and as we sort of spoke about with Melia earlier on, starting to make his way back up, and he's now starting to experience that sort of success again. But I mean, both of these teams have some amazing players. Kazna Crew has always been that all-star sort of lineup. Tank picks are done here. We're almost ready to jump in. So before we do, I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think a 2-2 for Ruinberg would be appropriate?
I think that's a total possibility. I think that's the most likely thing. If Penta Sports are going to make anything happen, they have to go 2-2 here. Mines is such a dynamic and quick map, like anything can happen there. So in my opinion, Ruinberg Penta need to go 2-2. Looking at their performances yesterday, a little bit shaky in some respects, especially on the attacking side, on the defensive side, sorry. But yeah, I have faith in Penta. I think they're going to give us a good game. I think Kazna, just looking at the lineup, their players, they've just taken all the best players in Europe and chunked them into one team, put them into one team, trained them up, got the synergy going. And, you know, Penta has some great players. Raging Potato, great player. The Dead Zone, great player. New Multishow, great player. But, you know, like the all-star lineup is there with Kazna Crew.
That's right. So obviously the votes, as Melanie did say, was 72 to 28%. So a fairly big margin over towards Kazna Crew here. We're almost ready to go, ladies and gentlemen, on this one. It's going to be an absolute cracker. The first map, as we said, is going to be Ruinberg. We've talked about it. We've said, you know, we could have 2-2s. You never know. I think a team that can get 3-1 on this one will be definitely advantageous. But it's time to check it out. A bit of a refresher for you. The map of Ruinberg.
Ruinberg, a mixed type map. The defending team starts the battle on the green, and the attacking team starts at the central square of the town. Bases are located quite far from each other. Both bases are better controlled from the village. It's better to attack the first base through the top direction with the help of several well-armoured heavy tanks. For the attack on the second base, it's better to use a more mobile setup and either play through the centre or split forces. In general, the map is not easy to play on. Teams often use blind shots and risky shifting of the forces from one flank to another.
Here we go. Ruinberg is the stage for our first round between these two teams, Penta Sports and Kazna Crew. Penta get the start on the defense here. Let's see if Kazna in the blue can break through.
Yeah, Kazna would love to get one round on the board here, and Penta would just need to keep everything at bay. I wouldn't be surprised as well if Penta just says, you know, we know Kazna Crew is a better team. They've got the results against us in the past, and, you know, we just need to play strange, unusual stuff, and they have started onto FKK Schnitzel.
Oh, going as a group here, Penta do manage to take out FKK Schnitzel, not the biggest tank, in fact the exact smallest on Kazna Crew, but still, it's a casualty they've managed to inflict. A bit less utility, a little bit less flexibility now for Kazna Crew. New multi-show does meet Isne in the middle. You can see the shot going over towards him now as Messick and Killer Pit do move up in those IS-3s.
Yeah, good start for Penta. They're playing dynamically. They're just unrelenting right now. They just want to keep that momentum from that previous match. Catch Yizny by surprise.
Oh,
He's on his own.
This is great work. They're just going to jump on top of him here. Penta Sports off to a great start, taking Isne off of the map. And now we can see the switch as well. The rest of Kazna Crew able to just change their approach here now. Is in the middle of the map. The shots continue to ring forward here. Hacky is the only one really taking damage right now. This is going perfectly for Penta. Shot from Vetso there. He's not going to find its mark. And Penta are aggressive. They're going for the throat right now. And a bit of damage is going to come towards them from the middle of the map here. Kazna just had to hold tight, dig their heels and do some damage. The dead zone is going to be receiving a lot of that himself. And Vetso will get the finish on him from the 1390 in the middle. He's only got one more shot left and then he has to buzz off and get his reload done. And look at this push on the overmatch at time after time. Alien's getting blown up. Kazna Crew don't have a chance to stabilize here.
Unbelievable stuff from Penta Sports. They're just so aggressive. They're not playing the standard Ruinberg style. They're just wanting to show Kazna Crew that they have some balls, they have some unusual tactics, and it's going very well for them.
Absolutely, and the damage race is a massive victory so far for Penta Sports. They're going to take this one away. I feel that Eurofish now is going to get focused on towards. There are shots coming in from the hill. Nexus is trying to help out, so is Vetso, but he's on reload right now. He's not going to be any use until a little bit later on. Penta Sports have only lost 2 tanks, and Eurofish now will go down. Fluky should get the finish on him with a WZ, and Nexus is going to be surrounded. Then Vetso will be surrounded. It's just going to be one after another, and Kazna Crew have been decimated.
Unbelievable. I mean, really, they just got thrown apart, and, you know, if they are tilting from yesterday, if they're still feeling bad about yesterday's matches, this is the worst start Kazna Crew could have possibly.
Well, Fluky now going to push towards Vetso here. It's going to get tracked up, and well, we know this 3090 is definitely done and dusted. Fluky getting the finish on towards him. Incredible scenes here from the WGL EU, and Penta are off to a great start with that first round in the bag on the defensive side, but they definitely didn't play like it here. Kazna Crew absolutely shell-shocked from that.
Yeah, I mean, they just did what, you know, for instance, Synergy did them on Himmelsdorf. They just caught them by surprise. They took down that MT25. That's already a big advantage. They know how Kazna Crew like to play this map with Yizny in the middle. They got the timing perfectly. The T-54s didn't spot anything in that eastern city, so they didn't have to retract back. And they took down Yizny, and once Yizny fell, like, there was so little chance for Kazna Crew to win this game. And, you know, New Multi-Show doing 2,000 damage in that game. Fantastic work. Fluky as well, stepping up in that WZ-131 with the 80mm, just a great rate of fire and 1.7k from him. Fantastic work from Penta there. Almost
a moment of hesitation from Penta there after taking care of Isne. They set up the middle. A little bit of damage was coming towards them, shots coming from the village on the eastern side, but they rallied themselves. They pushed forward as well onto the rest of those IS-3s around the corner. Incredible stuff here. Penta really getting aggressive on towards Kazna. Whether that will work on every round remains to be seen. It is a common trend that we see that teams will throw in one wacky round, just really mix things up, go for something different on that sort of first round, and then go back to something more standard here. But it's a great start for them. Kazna Crew were never in that round, not even close.
And actually, what was exactly what Penta did yesterday against Virtus Pro. They went really aggressive, super aggressive onto the 0 line, threw everything into the win when they were on the defensive side, and just caught Virtus Pro by surprise and got the win very easily from them. So they did a similar kind of mindset in this game, but the thing is, what they did against Virtus Pro after those rounds is the interesting thing. They just slowed it up, super slowed it up, and that's actually where Penta started to go wrong. So I hope they continue this momentum, this just unrelenting damage, and constantly trying to catch out Kazna Crew. There are going to be rounds here where Penta make the wrong call, make the wrong push, and they are going to lose, but I think they have a better chance playing this kind of style than they do just playing what Kazna Crew knows.
Definitely all not lost for Kazna. There's tons of time to react to this one as well and think about how to go forward in the next couple of rounds. I mean, this had a couple of tanks being caught out, but kudos to Penta for fighting them as well. I mean, they managed to go from FKK Schnitzel and the MT25. They found Isne. Both of those guys were on their own, so these they were overmatches that Penta, I don't know if they stumbled across or they just found them. They really did. FKK always does like to go north on the MT25 private sort of setup there. We often see a tank on the middle road here in Ruinberg as well, just to fire out from that window. But, Penta capitalised on that really, really well. Seemed like a little bit of a stock standard push out from Kazna, fairly straightforward, and it played straight into Penta's hands here. So for them now, maybe a bit of a change, a bit of an adaptation, a different rollout, a different setup, a different composition, or at least just try and hold their ground a bit there as well. But it seems like Penta took all the opportunity to react away from Kazna. They had no time to react. There's nothing you could have done in that situation.
No, exactly. I mean, 2 tanks down before they even knew what hit them was basically the issue there. And despite trying to get that Eastern Village and get the higher ground, have that T-54 lightweight held down, just wasn't enough. I think for Kazna crew, they just need to be aware of that. I think that maybe they thought that Penta would play more standard stuff. Now I think they'll be fully aware that Penta's just completely going to throw everything to win, go for hell for leather, just do things we never seen in the season before, just to get into the finals. And Kazna needs to be aware of that. They need to adapt. They need to have the angles. They need to play more cautiously. For instance, the reason why they lost that is that they sent all their tanks apart from Yizny up into that southern area. If they had like a 5100 there, if they had like a tier 6 there or a tier 7, it would have been a different story. Those 2 T-54s would have got down, would have been taken down by the pincer between Yizny and them. So that's the kind of thing Kazna crew is going to be thinking of. But for them, they can't be too disheartened because it was such an obvious mistake, like such an obvious piece of work from Penta Sports. It's not like they got outplayed. They can't read too much into it, I don't think.
That's right. It's maybe just in the way that they approach this one that they need to change things up here. And Penta, by rights, could go for the exact same approach here if they really wanted to. I don't think they will here. The tank picks are very different this time. They're going for a bit more heavy on the IS-3s. They're even taking a Bulldog and an LTTB. So super, super different lineup for them here. Yep. Definitely belies a different strategy and a different approach.
Yeah, so, I mean, we're just 10 seconds away from getting into this game. You went through the lineups there, and, I think right now for Penta, I think they're going to stick to that style. I think they're going to be aggressive and, just be unforgiving towards Kazna crew. I do think it's about individual performance as well, this match, because Penta, of course, have a disadvantage there. And, yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, it's again, I already said it, but how did Kazna crew take that loss against Virtus Pro last night? They came so close. They got the wrong tiebreaker map, and I think they even played some better tanks than Virtus Pro in a lot of respects. But they just got pipped to the post, and now we have got what looks like a more standard start here from Penta. Just relaxing to that Eastern Village. FKK going aggressive, that MT25, and this is where things start getting a little bit more leery for Penta.
FKK gets tracked up there, I think, briefly over on that cap, but he is able to recover, repair, and move on. Important to know that rounds in which FKK has survived, sort of more than this first 30 seconds, have definitely paid off better for Kazna crew there. It's always a bit risky making that push over towards the cap, and he's done well to sort of get away unscathed at this stage. And Kazna crew aren't investing as much over towards towards that 0 line. They've actually got 2 IS-3s now in the middle of the map, so that's definitely one adaptation they've made here. It's Eurofish to join Isne. And the dead zone already feeling a bit of that there. A shot coming in from those 2 IS-3s. Capture is underway. It looks like Penta might want to try and use that middle road and go for a bit of a fight here. It's not a bad idea. They have the numbers. An IS-3 for Kazna crew up on the 0 line here, so he's not really in the action. Yeah, so this is normal from Kazna crew. It's exactly what they did against Virtus Pro yesterday, but Penta coming from both sides. They're wanting to get this reset eventually, but they're going to try and first get the overmatch against Elian, Eurofish, and Yizny. Aliens are in a good position here, right down towards F2. A lot of shots going to be able to come over towards Penta Sports, and Kazna can punish them for this aggressive push in. Isne, yes, he's going to go down. He would normally be the first to go down from that position, but he did a fair bit of damage. You can see Killapit and Messick. Oh, we're looking better, that's for sure. Especially with Newton multi-show down fairly low. Killapit's still full health, mind you, but Ilian and Eurofish are there. Messick does go down. Penta are trading into this one with Kazna crew fairly evenly at this stage, but the base capture is still continuing here. Down to 30 seconds now. Eurofish might have to back away. He's got Fluky behind him, harassing constantly. One more shot from him. It won't be enough to finish the IS-3. It's not the longest reload time for the M41. He can back away and go and do it again. But now, Penta have to pay attention towards the cap here. It's down to 7 seconds. They can get the reset, but Killapit might be way late here. No, there it is. FKK Schnitzel gets the reset. At least the reset over towards him. He goes down low. The capture's still continuing though now. Vetso firing shots off from that middle. The multi-show and Killapit are trying to work their way out of the middle of the map as well. But the dead zone also looking for a reset. Hyber takes 2 shots.
I would say this is going all the way of Kazna crew. They're just winning every fight. I think that push from Penta Sports in the middle would have been great if Elian didn't manage to basically get a whole clip on the AMX 5100 onto them. Putting them not into a death position, but putting them very low. So that now they have to get the reset. They can just come from behind once he's got the reload and just finish these tanks off.
There's the push on a Killapit as well. well. They get that overmatch. They get the 2v1 situation. The dead zone now going to be pushed onto. Haki's sitting back as well. He's not in any place to contribute here, and this is going to be it. Kazna crew are going to take the second round away. Haki is up in those villages. He's only on the LTDB. There's only so much you can really do on that tank. And Kazna crew, honestly, they've turned their fortunes around with this one. They've made a good work of it. I like what they did around the city. I like the adaptation. Extra IS-3. 5100 of Ilium was there. They held up Penta, and that's what we expect to see from Kazna. That adaptation.
Exactly. I mean, they were a lot more cool in this round. It was definitely, you know, Penta's game at the start, but they just didn't go forwards. Like, they had a position there where they were sitting in the middle. They got the kill onto Yizny, but what did they do after then? They disconnected. They probably could have just pushed forwards and, you know, engaged onto Eurofish that was sitting there in the IS-3, taking him down. And Ilium was on reload, so they didn't have to worry about him. Fluky was just left on his own, who eventually does get finished off by Eurofish. And yeah, okay, they have to get the reset eventually onto the FKK Schnitzel, but you got the dead zone for that, and you got the LTTB, which is still playing up into that eastern village.
So Kazna crew actually a little adaptation, and they sneak themselves a win on the attacking side as well, which is a big deal, to be fair, especially statistically the way that Ruinberg has gone. So now it's there are a few possibilities here, but Kazna crew either, you know, take a 3-1, it's possible. We do go for the back and forth as we saw with Virtus Pro, and you know, Penta can sort of lift and get a few rounds here as well. But that was good from Kazna crew. And that's it. That's all they have to do. Yes, they got shell shocked. Yes, they got taken by surprise. But if they can respond and bounce back in that second round, and on the attacking side, it definitely works in their favour. It was a different lineup that we saw from Penta this time around, but they still had a similar idea of going aggressive in the middle. Definitely didn't seem to work out this time.
No, I wouldn't say the lineups are particularly a factor. I mean, they have the LTTP and the Bulldog. I mean, the Bulldog's great for getting the resets. It's great for killing the tanks. Fluky from behind almost finds Eurofish just on his own, so you can do 1,500 damage in that Bulldog. It's the same as a tier 8, basically, like in terms of the damage you can output. But yeah, looking at this, Ilium did 2.3k, Eurofish did 2,000. You can see those two played such a significant pillar role against Penta there. But now we got a situation where Penta now going on the attack. That dynamic, that fast, that fluid style we saw in that first round definitely bodes more well for Penta on the attack than it does on the defense. I think they won it because of that first round. The second round, again, going for that aggressive style, and Kazna crew just had that line of sight. They had the firing alley set up, which works so perfectly for them, as told by Ilium's damage. So I hope that Penta do make this a 2-2 in Ruinberg. As I said, I think they need to do it before Mainz.
That's it, but things might be getting a little bit out of hand before we get to Mainz. Kazna crew are experts at these open maps, so especially Mainz and Lakeville. I'm pretty sure everyone's banning Lakeville against them. That's why we haven't seen that one for quite a while. Yeah. I don't know. I think Kazna would pick it if they could, but they haven't been here. So one apiece here. It's nothing to be too concerned about if you're Penta as well, even though you are on the ostensibly easier side here on defense. Things can change, of course, in a very short amount of time, but what I am interested in is if our vote is changing at all, is if our audience at home are getting in their votes and we're influencing that, or is the Kazna crew confidence still going strong?
We're up to 74% for Kazna crew, and the chat is very, very positive about Kazna crew's performance before the first round started. But yes, Fluky hype as per usual in Twitch chat. Hi Twitch chat, we love you. And
Bible thump. Kappa,
Kipo. I already said at the beginning, Kappa for Penta and Kipo for Kazna. It was very balanced.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Some of them chose both, just as I did, but that's not working, people. You can still get involved in our vote. Head over to facebook.com/WGLEU and participate. Vote for your favorite team by clicking on the team logo and predicting the exact scoreline for this matchup. If you're lucky enough to be amongst the first 10 fastest correct predictions, I think that was pretty much correct order.
Good way to put it.
You get a bonus code, and it contains 500 gold and 8 days of premium. And of course, another way of getting involved is via Twitter. Follow the Twitter account @WGLEU to stay updated during the matches. If you can't watch the stream, don't be sad. We will keep you updated about the happenings on our servers. And of course, we love reading from you. So get your opinions through to us by using the hashtag WGLEU and some other informative material, of course, on our Twitter accounts. And don't forget to follow this channel. By clicking on the follow button, you get a notification every time we go live. And it will be the next time when the finals happen, right?
We'll do our relegations, actually.
Yeah, relegations first.
Yep.
Yeah.
So not this week coming up, but the week after. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be our relegation games. 7th, 8th and 9th.
Exactly. So more information on that. First, we've got our wildcard tournament as well, which is information coming out on that. Obviously, it has to wait until Silver Series finishes before we can release information. So obviously, that needs to happen. So some of the Silver Series teams can play, just the ones that haven't obviously already either automatically qualified for the Wargaming League Europe or haven't qualified for the relegations. But again, more information. First, we have to find out who qualifies for the season finals, and it will be one of these two teams, Kazna Crew or Penta Sports. Kazna already putting around on the attack, now on the defense.
Double WZ here for Penta Sports. Both Hacky and Fluky going to be piloting those ones here. 3 IS-3s to sort of supplement that one here as well. And Isne, FKK Schnitzel, and Vetso moving in the north here. So this is aggressive positioning from FKK Schnitzel. Normally we see them, the Bulldogs sit back, but it's just a bit of scouting to be done now. But here come the shots. Great shots here from Kazna Crew. Pneumotoshow and Fluky are already crippled. That's perfect damage. They've set up so well for this one. And Penta are walking into this one. They are just going to walk into a trap. FKK Schnitzel cops a couple shots, but he should not be the focus right now. This Penta should be watching their own health bars and wondering how they're going to get themselves out of this sticky situation.
Exactly. You know, Kazna Crew were in the perfect position just to shoot the AMX 3090s and those Z131s on the cross. Vetso can basically solo these 3 tanks despite Pneumotoshow being in a burst AMX 3090. Nexus also pushing forwards in that half moon circle, so they'll have a pincer situation. And this is what, you know, Virtus Pro did against Penta yesterday, and I think they're just trying to take that playbook and use it for themselves.
Vetso now doing good damage in that 50-100. The dead zone is actually going to miss his shot towards Vetso and give Vetso one of his own now. He's just trying to back away, try and stay alive as the dead zone. Just going to go hunting for at least 8 casualty. Penta Sports down to 4 tanks here. Kazna Crew only having lost FKK Schnitzel at this stage. Elian goes down. Killerpit doing work in that IS-3. Rasta at a distance is also contributing. So is Nexus. He's up close and personal here. And the LTTB of Hybrid is behind, forcing Raging Potato off the cap. They have to go forward towards Nexus, but Rasta is able to overwatch here. It's essentially a 2v2. Plus, there's also work to be done for Hybrid coming up behind. This is going to be a very good situation for Kazna Crew. Killerpit, I think, got lit on fire from that one. Ooh, Rasta not able to get that one penetrating, but he still gets some damage on towards Messages. Kazna Crew, it won't be pretty. It's a bit dirty, a bit messy, but it'll be done either way.
I don't know, man. It's 3 versus 2 situation right now, and you've got the dead zone and Message both on high HP.
They lost in the north.
They actually lost that situation in the north. I think Vetso just coming off reload at the wrong time, and Hybrid just trying to run. It does get the kill onto Killerpit. That's a huge kill, and that gives Rasta some chance.
Yeah, but he's got a 2v1 situation going on, and Rasta again misses a crucial shot, doesn't connect that one. Kazna Crew had advantage here. We have to go back and see the replay and see how that happened, because I thought they were way out in front. They had 6 tanks to 4, and it just turned around so quickly here. So Rasta now has to deal with 2 of these tanks, the Dead Zone and Messi. Penta, I mean, they walked into a situation that ideally didn't look good for them at all. That really didn't. They had a lot of tanks focusing on towards them, but they turned it around. They turned it around in those little gunfights. It was the 1%ers that got them over the line here. And Rasta has an incredibly big job of trying to deal with Messick and the Dead Zone simultaneously.
Let's see if Rasta gets spotted. He really has to avoid being spotted at this point in time. The most obvious move for Rasta is to head down the 0 line, but he's actually going to head through the city because he knows that only 1 tank's going to be on the cap. The next one, the Dead Zone, needs to be in a position to defend the Kappa. So, I mean, I think that's really, you know, a very important moment for Rasta to prove himself as a good player in Kazna Crew, as a player that can hold his own. But he has an almost impossible task, because at the end of the day, really doesn't matter what kind of position he comes in. He's only 1 shot ahead of Message, maybe 2 shots if he gets lucky. And, you know, then the Dead Zone will be able to come flying with that T-54 Low-8, come from behind. The slow turret traversed won't help him out at all. And the Dead Zone isn't a 1-shot in that T-54 Lightweight. So it just came about the duels, and Kazna Crew just super sloppy at some points. But Rasta still can somehow win this.
See, this would have been a good maneuver by Rasta if there weren't 2 people on the cap. The Dead Zone just moved on to put that much more pressure. By the time Rasta gets down that road, the cap will actually be complete. Yeah, it'll be done. So he has no chance to get there now. It's great work by Penta. I am seriously impressed with these guys here. Rasta may get 1 shot here, but he's going to have to go head-to-head with these guys at the same time. I think they'll duck around the side of the building. Should all be done and dusted here. No, there's a reset, so Rasta gets 1 in, but doesn't really stick as much as he would have liked to now, he's got to deal with the dead zone, who has a higher fire rate than Messi, and he'll be able to put another shot in towards Ruster. It's just a matter of trying to get resets, dead zone, trying to back around the corner here for some reason. But again, Ruster is going to go down. There's not much that can be done here. Kazna crew have lost this one. There goes one attacking round apiece. This is going to unfold, not unlike the Virtus Pro Kazna game of yesterday.
Yeah, not unlike what we just said. I mean, we did speculate that this would be a one apiece, and I think, you know, Kazna crew were clearly ahead in that match. They did great damage towards those crossing WZ-131s and the AMX-3090s. Then you had a position of Yizny and Vetso in the 5100s just pushing to that city, and I think they just got a little bit careless. Just they just really were like, I don't know, I think they thought they had already won before they had.
This is the fight that I was interested about here.
It's all about the dead zone here. It does 3,000 damage and 4 kills. Like, he's managed to solo Yizny and Vetso, and I think that was just Kazna crew getting careless.
That was pretty incredible here. So we won't see all of it, but we can see obviously here the dead zone now looking for Vetso. He's on reload, so it's essentially 1v1. Isn't missed that shot. That's crucial right now. You can see the back and forth goes on. The dead zone is actually able to force Vetso, or I don't know, it's crazy. We're rewinding a bit here as well, so you guys can get an exact idea of how that went in the north. This is that push here. I mean, if we look at that, it seriously doesn't look like an advantage to Penta. Kazna crew so far ahead now. The initial damage comes down quite nicely. It's only 1,000 sort of health points lead, but they're getting a lot of shots in. I don't know, Ruster, I don't know how he went in the north with some of his shots over. He did go top damage for Kazna. He did survive the longest, so fair enough. But Isle only got 400 damage in that game from this position here. He's up close and personal, and he's not connecting the shots.
Exactly. I mean, I thought Yizny and Vetso would be able to just solo those tanks, and they do, but the dead zone is just scampering around them. He takes down Yizny, then he takes down Vetso when Vetso was on reload of the AMX 5100. And, you know, I think it was just a problem. Both of those tanks went on the same side of that house, and they just allowed the T-54 lightweight to do what it does best: scamper around, play around those edges, play around the corners. And once you take down that IS-3, the 5100 is basically a free kill, because it's got, you know, 50-second reload. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think more damage there by Yizny would have been definitely required. But the Kazna crew had that game in their hands, and this is the thing. I don't think Virtus Pro would have made that same mistake.
No, definitely not. I really think they would have capitalized on that in a big way. Isle with only 1/3 of his shots actually penetrating here, so that tells a big story. It's a difference between 400 and 1,200 damage here, you know, for an IS-3, which is huge. So that definitely hurt Kazna crew. And yeah, the dead zone, honestly, one of the biggest lightweight games I've seen in a while. 3,000
and this
damage.
guy's on fire today. He's done 2.7k against Synergy and Himmelsdorf, 2,000. He did that great shots against Zamika and Nidin.
Yep.
So he's just been on fire right now. He's just playing out of his socks, and I wouldn't say he's carrying his team, but he's definitely helping them. You know, he's being in the right position. He's playing correctly. He's got great awareness around the houses. He's got great timing right now, and yeah, it's making it Penta Sports is you know, possibly their match.
This is interesting here. So Kazna crew now obviously on the defense for the last round of Himmelsdorf. No, they're on the attack. No, they're on the defense. Got that one right. So, I mean, they can put it together. We know they can, but this is a situation. Was it just an individual error? Was it individuals on Kazna letting them down? Was their strategy airtight? It definitely seemed like it was to me. So much so that I got confused, and I was looking at them like, yeah, Kazna looked like they've got this, and then it got turned around on its head.
Well, I think Ruster, he's a sniper at the end of the day, and him sitting all the way back in the eastern village was a huge mistake. Like, that's just not an acceptable position. Any time when your whole team's dead and you have an IS-3 or any tank that's on 100% HP, apart from maybe a tier 6, that's just